on a mountain where the cold wind blows. We can talk about your drink and what you think. Here, anything goes on the mountain.
I bet we got the only national anthem on the planet talking about bombs and shit.
You have to have a chat with her about that bloody playlist.
Simon, you seemed a bit perturbed that the national anthem started playing at a 4th of July party.
Well, no, because it comes on before the fireworks. Did you hear the national anthem?
We can play it multiple times.
This is why I'm sitting over
All
here
right.
and eating mine. Oh, yeah. Because we better if I
That
go
comes
off.
through me. You know I'm going to fall off here, right?
When Amos gets back, I'm getting the heck out of here.
That's all
We
right.
can slide this back a little bit more.
Because it would be embarrassing if the host fell off the damn deck again.
It would be very embarrassing.
Again. Oh, yeah. Did you fall off at one time?
No.
Oh, that was somewhere else. Oh, that was at Rocky Mountain Burger Company when you fell off on the floor.
Until Amos gets here, I reckon.
Yeah. I drank quite a bit for the Terrell Basham show.
Yeah.
That's
Well-
a gem of an understatement. You're recording now, aren't you?
Hey,
You're such a
I've been
bastard.
recording since the national anthem started. I might have to splice out a little bit of that explanation you had for getting perturbed it was being played and take out the context of it and just have you getting irritated while the national anthems. You said, who played this bloody playlist?
I guess that's why this is the second place party.
Yeah.
Well, we had the playlist set so that the
Is this thing on?
the anthem. Oh, look, everyone's been caught by surprise. We had the anthem was going to be played just before the fireworks, and we are nowhere near. We're 3, probably 4 hours away from fireworks. So I thought that was a bit premature for the national anthem, but yeah,
It can be played multiple times.
absolutely. But
I want to hear some Martina McBride on there too. I want to
You
hear
know
some.
what the last 3 words of the national anthem? Gentlemen, start your engine.
that's very good.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Appalachian Podcast. I'm your host, Billy Riddle. With me is my trusty second place co-host, who, by the way, also doubles as an Elton John impersonator on the weekends. Simon Wentz. Simon, we're up here.
We're at the cabin again on a glorious day that may be a tad warm to set up over the last few days. But, there's a dog in the background. We got music. We got folks turning up. And I have cracked my first liquor drink.
Now, we were anticipating on Juan Pablo Denton as being our fourth, guest here, and he'll probably be along shortly. We had an idea for this show, and like last year's, it was completely shut to bed. We had planned on starting around 2 o'clock and getting the show maintained, and then as people started rolling in, maybe talking to them, getting a person to come on here or there. Well, Amos Denton was, about an hour and a half or 2 hours late. Then we had to set up working on a few other things.
You mean Dirty Sanchez?
So this is a show we tried to do last year with Caleb Flora.
Yeah,
Caleb,
y'all tried to. I started drinking 10 o'clock in the morning
Last-
that day.
Well,
I thought
that show was pretty fine
it
proof
was a
of that.
shit show. I was incoherent.
the only show that we've ever recorded that we've never released. And here we are a year later, and it appeared to be another shit show. But thankfully, Caleb held off as long as he could. The idea originally was to not crack open a drink until we hit record. But now we're 2 hours behind, so we'll do the show a little bit differently. We'll probably do it in segments here and there. Maybe pause it because Simon's got to go host. We're going to talk to people. Maybe we'll jump on every 15 minutes here or there. But while we got this first part of, a few things, we got to pay the bills, thank Rocky Mountain Burger Company, Brian and those guys down there for all they do for us. We've got some big events coming up here in the near future. Over there, we're hoping to do some stuff with some people, and Patreon subscribers will figure that out at patreon.com/getontap. They're going to get first crack at it. We got some big name TV stars and this we're going to be doing some stuff with. I'm already about half inebriated, so if this goes off rails quick,
you were hitting that
It
crown
wasn't my
quite
fault
heavily.
this time.
Now, and did you not actually make up the rule here, drinking out of your daughter's pink sippy cup?
my daughter's Yeti pink sippy cup, by the way, it's keeping this shit ice cold.
So,
ice
what?
ain't gonna
But
melt.
wasn't that one of your prerequisites? Was to not be getting into liquor drinks before we started and hit record with Caleb?
My prerequisite was also let's get the ball going at 1:30 or 2 o'clock, and that went down the drain as
I
well.
showed up on time.
And it was Caleb did everything he was supposed to. So
And sober,
yes,
completely sober,
Well, he said
which
he-
was a revelation. Good job, Caleb. Very
You're
good job.
welcome.
Yeah.
Well
yeah.
done. Thank you, Van.
Yeah, so we're being joined here by Van, Flora, Caleb's dad, because he's sitting in for Amos for the time being, because who else better to sit here and help tell the story? Because Simon will be the first to tell you. We've done a shit ton of shows on here, and how many of our guests have a tie to Caleb Flora? I mean,
Probably 85%.
it's ridiculous. And out of nowhere, and every one of them got a different story. It's not like, oh, we just saw him running naked to a party with a beer box on his head, and everybody was at that party. No, everybody's got their own separate story.
Yeah, but he's done that at every party.
Well, most of them.
But he's he's on another level, and I think, for all that reason, I've always wanted to do a show with him, and I guess today is going to be just a perfect Caleb show. We're going to be in and out, probably more liquored up the next segment than we are this one. Probably have different people come on in and out. But Simon, real quick, we do have a little bit of news. For whatever reason, we might be about to go national.
Oh yes, but I think you need to explore this. I had a bit of a chat with the West Coast connection last night, and it seemed to be very productive.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to respond to very much, but just know that there's people on the West Coast and people in Central America that are going to be teaming up with here in Simon and I in the near future.
And Central America is not, British Honduras, Belize, or Nicaragua. We're talking about, Midwest.
Yeah, we're talking about Arkansas.
The bastard to Texas,
Yes.
Arkansas.
Yes, Arkansas.
How do you get to the pronunciation of Arkansas from the way it's spelled?
Probably because they hate Kansas so much. He said, all right, if we're going to name it this, we got to name it something complete. Probably just a slap in the face to Kansas. But like, you know what? We're going to half steal your name, but we're going to pronounce it completely differently. And Kansas and Arkansas,
There's another one that does that. Whilst we're on this topic very loosely, is it Missouri or Missouri? I got no idea. Is it San Antone or San Antonio? It seems
I guess it's all about,
Is it Pecos or Pecos?
well, a lot of people will say, is it Appalachia or Appalachia?
we know it's Appalachia.
know it's
If you say
Appalachia.
Appalachia, I'm gonna throw Appalachia.
We went over this before. We've had these discussions. But, I guess it's all about where you're from and whoever lives there about how they pronounce it, I guess. Simon and I, hopefully here in the near future, looking at maybe doing one show a month that's going to be streaming out nationwide, kind of getting our message about, building community. And I guess this is a perfect kind of setting to kind of explain all that and showcase it, about what we're doing with building within, building like a parallel economy right here in Franklin County. We're hooking each other up, taking care of each other. We're helping each other, build our houses, feed each other, do the plumbing, electric work, a giant network. We're like super advanced Amish at this point in time, big community. And they seem, and rightfully so, because I believe in what we do. They've kind of noticed this as far out as California, that what we're doing is a beneficial message we're sending, and for whatever crazy reason, these people think Simon and I might be that vessel to bring it to to the world, and we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes.
I'm kind of intrigued as to how we got picked out. Because
I'll tell you exactly how.
I've got no idea.
Probably a big, huge part of that was Spike Cohen.
Oh, for sure.
Having him on, and I mentioned that before. I said, you get him on, you're getting a lot of people that are going to, take a look at you. And I think these guys have actually been paying attention to us probably sooner, because they've probably known that Spike's going to be on there. He's like, man, I've been listening to y'all. And big shout out to them. They have a podcast out there called the Black Powder Podcast, and that's kind of a run on two separate things right there. But it's a couple of great guys. We're going to see where that goes, but so stay tuned for that. We'll have some more information. That's real exciting news here on the 4th of July weekend.
It was Marcus, I believe. He sounds very excited about it. So
I talked to him about an hour and a half on the phone the other day. Great dude. He was like, I'm kind of like you, man. I hate the government. I think they're completely, all the things we've said on here before, and he just seems to think it'd be a good collaboration of, you're going to have a black dude from Los Angeles. You're going to have kind of like an edgy guy from Arkansas, a redneck from Appalachia,
and the red coat.
And the red coat. So we all going to have different perspectives. We'll have more information about that.
Because government is the same, the world over, right? It's overreach and just control and outright thievery with taxation. So I think we're all on the same page. This isn't a hard message to sell, and it's actually being so much more exposed of late over the last, decade or so. And I think the internet has actually and as much as I despise the internet for what it is, it's actually helped that message exponentially.
Well, and it's also helped suppress that messaging too, because you know what's going on in France right now. They're burning the place down. It's and you're not seeing any coverage of it here at all. They don't.
Very little. Well, there's been massive. I think Macron has tried to suppress anything on mainstream media with any reference to the riots that are taking place in France right now, and the reason they're taking place is they've got a huge minority. Or is it a minority? At what point does it become not a minority? But they got such a massive North African.
Oh, they're looking to be in a
influx.
caliphate in about 100 years, if not sooner.
And you know, I think that massive influx of non-French through their imperial empire, because you know I love the French. And you know, I love having a chip, bearing in mind that the Brits probably had the biggest empire, but having a knock at the French is great.
Well,
But what's happening there really is an immigration issue. But what really started that unrest was them arbitrarily saying, well, we're going to move our retirement age and screw you, you've got no say-so. Well, the reason that you're going to move the retirement age is because your social welfare system has been bankrupted, and it's a Ponzi scheme, and I think we are witnessing the same here, but no one's actually saying it out loud. So, you know, the same shit show is happening here, and it's being suppressed. I mean, how unusual.
There's a little bit of there's certain things going on here. There's certain things going on here, and they're just
well, the things going on here. The good
there's
thing
things are going on here, and there's something else going on that nobody else is knowing about. Our government is suppressing it with the media.
Well, they're throwing a smoke screen at at anything of clout and substance.
Thanks, Canada.
Is yeah, well done with the wildfires. How long have they been burning, by the way?
I could breathe the air real good down in Texas. I come up here to Virginia and I had a snotty nose for the last few days.
Well, if you're going to blame Canada once again, and like my good friend Emmett Byrd always said,
here we go.
You can probably trace all the world's problems back to the British Empire, and we all know where Canada came from. They still have the Queen on their dollar, I believe, or whatever the hell currency.
It's the king now.
It's the king now.
Oh, indeed, it is.
Yeah, well,
the great Commonwealth. I mean, I know this is very topical, of course, to have a bash at the Brits right now.
Well, you know what? Since we just got done talking about the French, I think and
it's only fair.
Well, turn the volume down and get ready to say it. You know, on this special weekend, I feel comfortable and empowered to say fuck the French, and also even more so, probably fuck the Brits this weekend. But since Simon is such a gracious co-host, we have to, we and a gracious host here today, we have to. You know, we have to embrace it and celebrate second place with him, which I'm completely fine doing. And Simon, for that, let's get off of politics. Let's talk some fun stuff. You know, this shindig right here, how long has this been going on? How long have you really been doing this to this kind of a level?
Well, I've been fairly drunk throughout most of them. So I'm really not sure, but it turns out our reputation for fireworks here. Oh dear, I'm going to get into trouble for this. Because every firework that we let off here, right, I'm going to say it out loud now because I don't care. Every single one of them is illegal.
Yeah.
Right? It's
illegal by the state of Virginia standards, but not maybe the state of Tennessee or Pennsylvania. It's completely arbitrary and stupid.
And my dog is in total agreement.
Yes.
If I hadn't flew up here on an airplane, I'd have brought a lot of fireworks.
Well, not on a plane, you wouldn't.
No, you can't.
Hell no.
If I'd have drove, I'd have brought a lot of fireworks.
I took the weirdest route. Now, I did a GPS thing, and
but you came back 81. Though.
Well, no, I came back on 58 and 81, right, from Tennessee. But we came down, we went through Galax on the way down. It was 5 o'clock in the morning. And
you do Independence, Mouth of Wilson, all that stuff.
We seemed to follow a river through every gorge. We went down a road.
It was a nice ride.
We went down a road. The GPS was taking us, and I thought, I'm just going with it. The address I thought was correct. I was proven correct, thankfully. But I was beginning to doubt it. it took us down a dirt road called Shortcut Road. And it was a dirt road. And I'm like, the GPS is sending us here. And I can hear the banjos.
You
And
never
I'm getting
trust a
slightly
road called
nervous.
Shortcut Road. Never
Well,
trust that.
the shortcut road was fairly short, thankfully, and it got us back onto asphalt, or as I call it, tarmac. And the GP, yeah, there we go. I mean, heathens.
The pavement.
Just yeah,
the hard
heathens.
top.
The hard top, asphalt tarmac, same bloody difference. And we were in 3 or 4 minutes of the destination. And we're still winding through this deep cut gorge with a river next to us. I'm like, holy shit, I've got a feeling we really screwed up. And Paul Dwayne was with me. And I'm thinking...
a Yankee and a Brit in the middle of,
oh, yeah,
BFE Grayson County.
Oh, it was. I mean, you could hear banjos and everything. I mean, it was... And I thought I'd really screwed up. But I refused to interrogate my GPS and my phone because I was really thought I was going to be embarrassed. And at which point I thought, well, within 3 or 4 minutes of the destination, what I'm going to do now is just wing it. Now, if it so happens that we're in the right place, winner, chicken dinner, right? If I'm in the wrong place, I can apologise to Dwayne. I say I screwed up with the address. I've got no idea where we are. Let's reset. But I knew we were in or very close to Tennessee on that North Carolina, Virginia, Tennessee little whatever you want to call it. And it's 3 minutes out, and I'm looking, and we're still coming through this tiny little valley with this creek by the side of us, and I'm like, I'm not recognising anything. I'm like, oh God, I think I've really screwed up. 2 minutes, 1 minute. Next thing I know, we're on the right road, and we're right next to the darn firework place. And there was just a massive sigh of relief. And at which point we spent a lot of money on very illegal fireworks in the state of Virginia. And what is that about?
Well, they want
Because
to
what they've
come.
done-
It's illegal to celebrate freedom.
Well, here's the laugh. And I made this comment on Dwayne on the way back. I said, you know what? We are coming all the way down to Tennessee to spend a lot of money, cash money, because anyway, we won't go through that theory. But we spent a lot of money that I should have been spending here, in not just necessarily the state, the Commonwealth of Virginia, but in Franklin County. We should be able to spend that money here rather than have to make that run down.
It used to happen here a lot.
Well, yeah, but I'm sure it did. But the lunacy behind having to make that run and spend money in another state is we're doing exactly what we shouldn't be doing.
Yeah, for something
But there we go.
so stupid
How
and
many
arbitrary.
fireworks did Uncle Gary sell?
You don't use family names on the stage, son.
He was on TV. He flipped the camera off. I've seen the video.
Who did?
But they came from a tractor trailer.
Quite right, too.
Fireworks. So right in
No,
Boonesville,
no.
Virginia.
A U-Haul.
Oh, now hold on. They're not even illegal in the state of Virginia, technically. They're
You just
only
can't let
illegal
them
for
off.
you to have. Yeah, exactly, because they let them off at the high school and downtown Roanoke, the same thing.
But now you need a permit and a license. What a crock of shit.
Yeah, pay us to have fun.
You know, kiss my ass,
Yeah,
you lot.
yeah.
Are you? Come on, man. I'm celebrating second place as well. Can you not figure that shit out?
Yeah, how about just
Ridiculous.
How about just kiss our candy ass? And honestly, that should be a sign of hope for people to know that no matter how arbitrary and stupid their laws get,
We're going to break them.
we're gonna find a way around them.
Because this is America.
Yeah, this is America. I mean, do whatever you
America.
can.
America.
Do whatever you can, but we're gonna find. There's always going to be an alternate, economy. There's going to be parallel economies. There's going to be underground economies. I mean, the black market's the best place to work.
I'll tell you what, we've got an interstate as well.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I used it on the way down, but I certainly used it on the way back. You're damn straight.
Yeah, much faster. Much faster.
No, you know what? It wasn't faster. I mean, even though winding, and it was a beautiful ride down. I mean, coming over, once I got out of Galax and then started into the banjo country, I had a lovely drive. I saw some wonderful sights, some fantastic trout streams, some weirs, some beautiful rivers. I mean, it was absolutely lovely.
One thing you would be probably surprised to know, you were actually in the middle of NBA basketball country as you were winding through those roads.
Really?
That is no joke down there, because in Mouth of Wilson, Virginia, down there off 58, there is a school called Oak Hill Academy. middle of nowhere, BFE mountains.
They kick
get-
everybody's ass.
They get the best basketball players in the country year in and year out to go play their final year or two of high school, and they always end up going either to the NBA or to North Carolina, Duke, Kentucky, your biggest programs. That is a breeding ground.
Well,
middle of nowhere, and I don't even think. I mean, you're talking about a team that could probably go play another high school game and sell out a 10 or 15,000 seat arena, at least back in the day. And I'm pretty sure they don't even have a home court. I mean, not much when nobody goes there to play because they're showcased
it's
all
like
over the country.
It's like the Swiss Alps, right? I mean, you got to be fit to live there because everywhere is uphill,
They recruit them.
both ways.
Yeah. And it's a recruiting place, too. They come in from, I mean, there's probably, 10 black people in all of Grayson County and 9 of them play for the basketball team.
Yeah,
And it's just,
there
I mean,
you go.
it's nothing but other than straight. It's just a place where there's nothing. No,
But
there's not that many white people.
It was a lovely drive, and it actually saved us no time whatsoever from doing that back road run. Apart from me sweating like a rapist, thinking, Bubba's going to come out, start playing a banjo, and telling me what a mighty fine pair of pants I was wearing.
Have y'all ever heard of Adney's Gap? Been on that
Yeah.
road? Well, a few years ago when GPS first came out, a tractor trailer was delivering in Withville or somewhere, and it sent them to the door factory up where the brewery is now.
Yeah.
And
The
it
brewery
sent
used to
that
be a
tractor
door
trailer
factory.
over Adney's Gap.
Oh dear
It was
Lord!
hung there for 3 days before they could get enough dough in to get it.
He got hung up.
Yeah.
And that's just what I don't understand. I can understand getting that far. I can't understand a driver looking at that and saying, you know what, I'm going to try it. I would just sit there and I'd say, you know what, I'm going to call somebody,
backing
get
up.
the cops, I'll back up however many miles I got to back up.
Personally, I'd have tried it.
Yeah,
Because
you would
I've
That's Caleb Flora.
I'd have tried it. It don't look too bad.
I'll give it a go. What could be the worst thing that happens? Roger that.
You block the damn road for 3 days. I guess
That's it.
that's why I'll sit there and I'll just pull back. I don't mess with it. So, Caleb, you're in Texas now.
It's nice. It's hot, real hot. I mean, it was 8:05 the other morning, and it was already 97 degrees.
But how does an Appalachian boy fit in with a bunch of cowboys in Texas? I'm wondering how that clash actually works.
I'm a super puncher. I mean, I grew up here squeezing titties for a living, and then
Could you rephrase that? 'Cause I mean,
I milk cows.
there we go.
I
Thank
was
you.
very
Thank you.
formal.
I mean,
So I grew up squeezing titties. So did that my whole life, and then we sold out of the dairy business, and then I went to making babies for a living. I ain't never paid a lick of child support in my life. I was an AI technician.
yes, you were, and I know what you were doing.
I went rectally in a cow.
Well, no, it certainly wasn't rectal. I can tell you that much.
I was an artificial insemination technician, and I made 3,000 babies a year. Then when I left here, I figured out.
You're not forwarding your cause any further, by the way.
All right, so
He was an
I went
AI
from squeezing
technician
titties-
going rectal.
I went from squeezing titties to making babies. All right. Then I moved to Texas. Didn't know a soul. Started selling dirt and running hose.
What? Excuse me?
I was selling dirt and running hose.
You
I
better
was selling dirt.
let me have that in English.
English? All right. So I was selling dirt for,
I thought you said selling dope.
no, dirt.
Dope.
I thought you said
DIRT.
dope and running hose.
Oh, that's what I thought. I mean,
Like he's
for
a pimp
goodness sake,
in Odessa.
enunciate.
Midland and Odessa.
Enunciate.
Yeah.
God.
So I went from squeezing titties to making babies to selling dirt and running hose. And then they're like, hey, you want to work inside this winter? You
Now
can
you're
bust-
cracking nuts.
Yeah, I started busting nuts all day.
Pecans, by the way.
Yeah,
Even I know
pecans.
that. Yeah, I got that one.
Pecans, Gardendale, Texas. We bust your nuts for you.
This is Caleb at his best, and he's sober.
Well,
Oh,
And
well,
now,
Okay.
he's not sober.
I've moved a little bit farther east, about 3.5 hours east of where I was living in between Midland and Odessa, Desdemona, Texas, smaller than Callaway. They got a store and a fire department. We ain't even got a hardware store. But now I'm finally ranching.
there you go.
That's what I moved to Texas to want to do.
And you're doing
My
it.
dream. That was my dream.
Good on you, mate.
As soon as I knew what a cowboy was, as soon as I saw John Wayne, I've done a lot of my dreams since the time I left here.
Does that include busting a nut and shoving it up the rectum and then feeling titties?
I mean,
I don't
you'll
know.
have that on them big jobs.
This is my dog's greeting to every car that's coming up the driveway.
Well, I mean, that's exactly what a good dog is supposed to do, is about to warn you and let you know. So I would much rather have a dog tell me every time somebody's coming up the driveway.
He does.
Than one sit there. We had, in college when I was at Radford, we had I had a car towed from my driveway. My car towed from my driveway.
They can't do that.
No,
Can
they
they?
can't. No, they
No,
can't.
they can't.
I was raving mad. I was like, what the? I called him the next morning and said, what the? I said, do you by chance have this car in your lot? I said, why in the F? We had a call in and there was something miss on this street. I said, I live on Fairfax Street. Thank you very much. So, we had a dog in there, a pit bull. You're thinking things are vicious. This little bitch didn't say a word the whole night. The guy comes in there, tows my car from my drive. Of course, blame myself too for not waking up, but I was on the other side of the house from that window and I was probably been drinking, which Radford is the place I met Caleb.
That's an interesting story right there. The day that I met you, I'm going to Virginia Tech. Me and one of my buddies, Ian, and my friend Yvonne. Yvonne goes, "Hey, there's a party out in Radford tonight. It's some Franklin County boys. You probably know them." I'm like, "Who is it?" They're like, "It's the Riddle brothers. It's the Riddle brothers." I'm like, "Which Riddle brothers?" I mean, I know this Riddle, I know that Riddle. I'll meet them when I get there. But hey, there's Franklin County people there. Yeah, I'll be there. So I show up to this party, and it's a wild party. I remember hiding in a closet.
He's calling. This is Caleb calling it a wild party.
Oh shit! The ones he was up there for were tame. Wait till Amos gets on here and talks about the ones before Caleb ever made it up there.
I mean,
Caleb went to a tame party.
I showed up and we hid the kegs in the closet and hid in the bathroom, and then y'all told us Franklin County people can come out. Maybe it was that party.
Well, that was Radford.
That was at Radford.
That was my first year. That was in 04. Yvonne wasn't up there until like 07 or
It was
something.
07.
Yeah.
But I do remember carrying the keg the keg was in the shower. The keg was in the shower.
Of course it was.
I went and hid in the bathroom because the keg was in the shower.
Who were you hiding from?
The cops. The cops showed up.
All the time.
All the time. That was dark side of Radford.
No, that was light side.
that was
light side. Yeah, dark side was the year before.
So then I
anything
finally meet you and your brother. We get to talking, and I'm like, well, I know this Riddle and this Riddle, and you said your grandpa's named Don Riddle, and I was like, well, I know Don Riddle. I sit next to him all the time.
Yeah, that damn
at the Moose Lodge.
Well, see, for us, Caleb is quite a bit younger than me, so I went to Emory and Henry for a few years. Went to Iraq, came back to Radford, took a year off party, then went and finished my schooling, which took an extra 3 or 4 years because then my credit transferred, which is ridiculous. Either way, different story. So, in 07, I was probably my junior year at Radford, and I was probably 26 years old, and Caleb was only 18. So there's an obvious reason why he wouldn't know me, but he heard Franklin County, and he comes over there, and we had a select few freshmen that we let come and hang out with us or whatever because they were really cool. And they would kind of,
they were my age.
Yeah, they would kind of monitor the party for us, and we'd go get the liquor, and they'd let people, So we took care of them, they'd take care of us, and we had a big whole thing. But we had massive party. I mean, man, I had the cops coming all the time. Had one dude, and this story was huge up there while I was there. This guy was going around stabbing people in Radford. Like he had multiple stabbings. He was wanted for like 4 or 5 different stabbings. Right?
How charming!
He was in our house one night partying, and
I hope someone stabbed him.
Well.
Sorry.
Here's the thing. We didn't know about it. We were just partying with this guy, having a good time. He was a hoot.
He didn't want to stab y'all.
He was fun to hang out with. Next thing I know, the cops show up, right? And they start saying, "We need to come in your house. We're looking for this guy." And this guy goes in my closet, so I know it's him. And they're like, "We need to come in here and search for." I said, "You're not coming in this house without a warrant. Absolutely not." And so we kind of going back and forth for a while. Finally, I go back inside. I tell the dude in my closet, I'm like speaking through the door. I'm like, "Dude, all right. Cops here, obviously, for you. I'm not letting them in the house, but you got to go because they're not going to leave until you do. So go around the back door, pop out of there, and take off." So he does that. I go around the front and tell the cops, I'm like, back door, because all his buddies are sitting there. And, they go back inside. They take off looking for him. And then he and I and the cops sit there and talk for a few minutes. And the cop said, "Well, he's wanted for multiple stabbings." I said, "You know what? If you would have told me this ahead of time, I'd have let you walk right in my closet and get him. But because you wanted to play, badass, and you're going to come in our house and not explain to me why, I'm not letting you come in here and search without a reason or a warrant. I'd have gladly been instead. Now you're going to have to go chase him again because he's out the back door on foot because that's where I told him to go." So, then they leave, and it's just ridiculous. But we had all kinds of crazy. I mean, fights every weekend. because people would come up there and they'd want to test us. It's like there's 25 people minimum from Franklin County up here every weekend, hopped up on bootleg and God knows what else. And you're coming here trying to start a fight. There ain't a fraternity on this campus and come mess with us. Because we also got everybody else here that's hanging out with us that don't want to have to deal with us later. So people would come and try and test us. And I don't really understand it, but anyway, so we always had a heck of a time. So
That sounds like very much like a rugby thing as well. Because the rugby guys back in England, it was the big test. You take on the rugby team, and you were going to lose, or if you came in with such superior numbers, but you were going to get hurt doing it.
exactly, it was a no-win situation.
Yeah.
It was either counterproductive or destructive in the very least. Like, the cops might show up, but most of the time we had a pretty good relationship with the cops because at the time, I just got back from Iraq and they always kind of were cool with veterans and stuff that little time period. So they'd come over here, they'd kind of warn us here and there, and only a handful of times we actually got tickets. But
A few of our rugby players were on the police force, and that is an added advantage.
it definitely is when you got the fuzz on your side. All right, we're going to go ahead. We're going to cut this segment for a minute, get around, mingle, talk. We're going to refill our drinks, and I think we might jump back on here in a little bit.
Might all get old Sanchez.
Dirty Sanchez.
When he gets back on here, we got to talk a little bit. Caleb, probably try and slow it down a little bit, like because he's already starting to slur, Van. Can you hear that?
Yeah, I knew when I.
And I see his eyes starting to dim a little bit.
Oh dear.
All right, we'll be back.
The story's gonna be good.
All right, we're back, and the plan to kind of have segments went off the rail quite a bit. The party happened, and so we decided just to roll with it and then just do the after party up here.
Bad idea.
Yeah, it was a terrible idea. We're all a little off the rails a little bit.
Inebriated.
But no less, we have to come finish the show. We have a job to do. And despite what a hell of a time we had here tonight, we gotta step it up and give the people a little bit more content and explain to them why this is honestly one of the best places on the planet. And I can. All right, there we go. Now we're back in the mix of things. We had a little foul up,
A little skirmish.
a little young blood wanted to try himself. I guess poor guy didn't know what would I.
Well, I mean, I don't blame him. I blame his parents. I mean, I had 5 brothers.
Yeah.
Everything was a competition, and but I seen you stand up behind the table. We were in Nashville for bachelor party, and Doug, who, he was the
Groom's dad.
Yeah, the groom's dad. And so some guy had got mouthy and hit this girl in the bar, and I can't deal with that. I'm done.
Nuh-uh.
And so I had words with the guy. We carried it out back. I had more words. And finally convinced him that, that's bitch. That's bullshit. You don't hit a woman.
You don't touch a woman.
Ever. Ever. And I looked around, Doug sitting on the wall, and I was like, wasn't you going to get up and help? He said, I sized it up. I figured there wasn't no need to stand up.
You'll have it on time on the big jobs. You don't touch a woman.
Don't be disrespectful.
No, not at all. And
drawing a dick and balls on his face wasn't disrespectful.
I tied his shoelaces together.
It was seemed
I
to be
could
an
have done a
improvement
lot
at the
worse.
time.
I was very nice. About that.
Get your lips on the tip, Caleb.
Kind of like that when y'all put that inside that buggy the other day. Yeah.
Mr. Pinky.
But
so let's talk about this shindig and how badass America is and what a good time we had up here.
how about singing our national anthem?
That was a sweet moment.
Simon, you are a very gracious host. I don't know if you get the appreciation that you deserve or the gratitude, but for all you do, and not just for tonight, but all you do around everywhere. Nobody ever says thank you. I'm gonna say it right now.
You're a proud American. You're the
So,
You're the most American English motherfucker I've ever seen.
what's my shirt say, Simon?
I love you.
So I met, y'all hadn't even been living here that long when I met y'all, right?
Not too long.
Yeah. Sterling opened a brewery. Y'all came down there. How long was it after y'all moved here when he opened the brewery down there?
Within a year or two.
Yeah. And Sterling just started brewing beer. I show up down there, and there's this good-looking girl shows up. Something about wanting to have goats. They just bought this place. And I'm like, damn. Well, my mama raised registered goats. I'm, probably going to need to talk to her. And then I met Simon. Knew instantly. I mean, it wasn't even a question. I mean, from the moment we met, we were friends. Redneck, no. Hillbilly as fuck. Not redneck. And I don't know. He has wheelbarrows and garages and we ain't supposed to be friends.
And Nissans.
Yeah, but he brought his fucking mug and hung on the wall at the brewery right off the rip on a nail. I knew he was serious. And man, I don't know. I mean, we
hung what mug?
And
my pewter ale mug.
He carried like an old English pewter mug down and hung it on a nail right behind the damn bar as soon as Sterling opened the joint.
There's a man crawling underneath of you right now, for what that's worth.
A man?
That's okay.
I'm going with yes.
That boy.
You can check if you'd like, but okay. Carry on.
So, shortly thereafter, Simon said something about, well, I think it'd be fun to have a 4th of July party.
Oh, well, what did I start?
And I said,
God,
Simon, you can't have an Independence Day party.
I said, what the fuck?
We can have a 4th of July party. You have a second place party. You're the first fucking loser.
I'm happy with that.
So it's carried on now for a good long hot minute.
That's it. I'm celebrating second place.
I know people that's moved to this
He's not a
county.
sore loser. You say what you want. He's not a sore loser.
You're damn straight.
No. I know people that's moved to this county, this community, been here for 15, 20 years, never acclimated. They're still not a local. I mean, from the moment Simon moved here, I mean, he was a local. I mean,
I'm very humbled by that, by the way.
I remember I met him.
All it took was the brewery.
I met him. It was a New Year's Eve party about 6 or 7 years ago at the Callaway Rorton Club for whatever reason. I went up there and you were like, "Hey, come meet my buddy Simon right here."
That's when the boy got run over in the middle of the road.
Probably.
And the helicopter landed.
And of course, you had the accent. You couldn't ever forget it. So anytime I'd see him after the fair, he'd be, and I'd sit there and strike up a conversation. And I met Simon that New Year's, and I think a few months later, Terry and I started dating. So pretty serendipitous that all I guess good things come in threes. That all happened in threes.
Two, I feel like to be, a full life success. You got to be able to cry on a shoulder and have a shoulder cry on. I don't care if you're a man. I don't care who you are. And I know plenty of people long before Simon, but we ain't scared to cry on each other's shoulder. I mean, the day he got diagnosed with cancer, me being the smart-ass motherfucker I am, I knew he hadn't been feeling good the week before, and I didn't know he had a doctor's appointment. And I called him, and I just got my license to be a reverend. And did I just say fucking now? I'm saying I'm a reverend.
Yeah, well,
in the same sentence.
Fucking reverend.
Oh, we can put a comma in there.
I got my certificate or whatever, so I called Simon, being smart ass, and I'm like, as an official in the church, I feel like I need to, check on my flock, whatever. He answered the phone, and that's my starting comment. And dude, it got quiet. And he was like, dude, they were at the doctor's office. He had just found out he had cancer. I really wasn't sure what I was going to say next. I don't even remember what I said next. But I know whose house I was at that night. And that's what it takes, man. I mean, everybody's got to look out for each other. Yeah, I'll draw a dick and balls on your face if you pass out. If you sit still long enough while you're awake, I'll do it.
But if you take it like a man and have a good time and just enjoy the fun in it, next time you'll be here.
When it ain't,
He's not gonna pass out.
It's not about taking it like a man. It's just about fun.
Yeah.
The moment.
You stood on my shoulder.
I'll draw dick and balls on your face too.
I know you will.
In a heartbeat.
But I'll never forget what you did.
And you're wearing my hat. Or your hat.
I mean, this party every year. I mean, it's always something a lot of the greatest people in this community behold. And I'm pretty sure my son was conceived after this party 2 years ago.
I bet he was.
I've tried.
And my wife won't even get near me this weekend. Both of our kids actually were conceived 4th of July weekend. So, Yeah, it's something special, and I think when you're up
It's
there,
community.
well, it really
It
is.
can happen
and,
everywhere in America just like this.
and it should. It should be
Oh,
every
that's what it
neighborhood,
takes,
every
man.
Community, and I mean, tonight is like a culmination of everything we always talk about here, Simon. You know, the drum we beat nonstop about. You know, the people who look after you, the people that care, the people that you can trade with, that black market, that alternative.
That ain't black market. That's a real market.
Well, you know, they call it black market to make it look negative, but and they'll talk about the bad things you can get on it, but they don't tell you about all the good things. You know, like vegetables and food and trading time, which is very valuable. You know, and you know they're for Simon for a while.
It ain't trading. It's taking care of each other, man.
Yeah, but you're trading resources, you're trading time, you're trading energy. You know, you're working amongst each other, and you know you come up here tonight, you see everybody that cares, everybody that you could reach out to if you had an issue, and
Look at that crowd.
Yeah,
I mean, you think about the success, the diversity. I mean, you think about the people that was here,
We had a boatload again.
and that's not, you know, the typical media view of the Appalachians Blue. You know, you had a 4th of July party. It's, you know, a bunch of 4-wheel drive, 150 rednecks, Confederate flags. You know, I mean, it's completely ridiculous.
yeah, and I mean, you just look at all the happiness up here tonight, all the kids running around having a good time, and us old timers, we're the ones still sitting here. We're the ones still here at the end of the night finishing it out. You know, we kind of started this show out wanting to be all about Caleb. And as we sit right here and look to my left, Caleb has passed out sitting straight up. So he is about in the same condition he was.
And there we go.
But you know what? That's kind of not his fault. He kind of held his end of the bargain. You know, Juan Pablo Denton right here was supposed to be here at 2 o'clock. And I guess he was too busy, you know, making tacos or doing whatever the hell he was doing to show up here on time. So we kind of had to scale it back a little bit. And now we're here sitting at the end of the night and just 3 sheets to the wind, just enjoying the weather, enjoying the calmness, watching people walk around. I mean, Simon,
I don't know how we do it. You know, there's a community around Callaway that absolutely blows my fucking mind.
And what about that fireworks show? Second to none.
I mean, you know, well, when you make a run with Dwayne down to Tennessee, we're going to buy some good shit.
And like you said earlier, it's pretty ridiculous that we have to drive all the way to Tennessee for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that does wind me up a little bit. But you know what? Being able to put that celebration on as a second place loser, that touches my heart.
And about all the happiness you brought to people tonight and all the joy, and you know, make new connections, you strengthen the ones you've already got. And look, I don't think people can quite grasp what's going on right now and what we're staring down. Like, our society is completely backwards, immoral, despicable. Like, you know, I used to be kind of a live and let live guy. I was like, yeah, I mean, let somebody do what they want to do. Don't, you know, as long as they're not infringing on you, blah, blah, blah. But at this point in time, it's like, get this shit out of the streets. Get this shit out of these freaking, I mean, like.
I still am that way, but don't brainwash
let's
it.
draw the line somewhere of decency. Like, I don't care if you're gay or straight or whatever. If you're dancing in the streets, twerking in front of kids in a parade and wearing assless chaps, I don't care what orientation you are. That's freaking disgusting. Get that shit out. Well, I mean, you're different, though. Yours is a Callaway parade. So only about a handful of people that have already seen your ass saw it, so.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of shit does blow my mind. That we have got to such a depth of depravity, right? Now, I'm fairly shit-faced right now.
You don't say.
Roger that. You know? But it blows my mind that we've got to this depth
of depravity.
Where are the people that are going to go, you know what, I'm going to stand up, I'm going to make this shit not happen. And I'm that guy. And if I offend you, go fuck yourself.
That's exactly what we're doing up here. You're just, you know, the counterculture in the 80s was punk rock. The counterculture these days is a conservative family with, you know, a homestead. It's values and.
But it's really not a go fuck yourself either. It's really not. I mean, you think about how diverse. I could agree. I mean, you know, just every walk of life. But it's, you know, being open-minded. I mean, I don't hate somebody because they think different of me. I don't care. As long as you're not forcing it.
And I think that's what it boils down to. Don't force it. Like, agree to disagree, shake hands, enjoy yourself, and go home. People have made politics just the center of their
Everything.
life. Everything.
Everything.
It's all about red or blue, red or blue, red or blue. Get the F out of your house.
It is. It's all about red, white, and blue.
Go hang out with your neighbors. Meet people like Simon. I was telling somebody earlier, I said, I was doing the numbers, and from the day Simon started doing this show full time, like everything we've done has doubled. I mean, he touches a lot of people. You reach out to a lot of people, and everybody new you meet comes away with such an awesome story. They want to come back and learn another one. So I think this celebration up here every single year isn't so much about the 4th of July or second place or Independence. I think it's a lot about you and people like you.
It's I'm very humbled by what you're saying. Don't get me wrong, Billy.
Well, with you and Heather, your family, what y'all bring to the community. I think it's
But let's. Where am I going with this? We just need to be honest with each other.
Did you want to change the community when you came here, or did you want to?
No, absolutely not. Because if you come here as an outsider,
I mean, you told me I didn't find Callaway. Callaway found me.
Exactly.
And that goes back to right off the rip. He was a local.
Yeah, but you got to be very careful about how you say that, because you don't want people coming down here influencing the environment and the social makeup. And I don't want to come here and express, God save the king and all that shit. That's not me.
He said, "God save the queen."
Well, no, the king now.
They Biden still thinks
but
it's the
anyway,
queen.
well,
You're already there.
don't even talk to me about that moron. But I'm not looking to change people's opinion. I'm just asking people to make an educated, critical thinking perspective on what on earth they're doing, and I don't find that offensive.
So let me ask you a question, Simon. If I was on the national media and I told you that you could be from a different country and your wife from Jersey and move to a no-name town in the South and have 4th of July parties where everybody would come to, that does not exist. The media will tell you straight up that you cannot have a party in the Appalachian Mountains that there's black people, there's Asian people, there's white people, there's rich people, very intelligent people. That town don't exist. You find it on the news.
Well, they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to let you know that
It happens here.
Yeah. They don't want to let you know that it happens, period. They don't want to let you know celebration.
It's taken me 15 years, maybe less for you, to feel confident to express my personal belief politically. And that, may grind a few people, because it's, you're going to get the comment, well, that's that damn Englishman, he's a fucking foreigner.
And that Appalachian American hick.
Yeah, why should I listen to him? But that's not what I'm saying. If you view me as that, you're already way behind the ball. Okay? And I'm just a guy that likes good shit to happen to good people that I coexist with. And if you're offended by that, then quite frankly, kiss my fucking ass.
I mean, I just pretty much tolerate you.
Yeah, but I love you too.
That's what lovers
But you
do.
know what I mean? Don't be offended because, there's that damn foreigner here expressing an opinion that I might be offended about.
What do we think Caleb thinks about it?
And that's all. That's actually that happens to be one of the fears that I have about expressing my opinion. That because
Did you
I
say
now
you
live
had a
here
fear
as-
about
as-
expressing your opinion?
well,
I was going to question that myself.
Well, I don't give two shits about what anyone has to say about my opinion, but I've been I was concerned about expressing it.
So much not to alienate people.
Well, it's not about alienating people. It's about expressing an opinion from a foreigner's perspective, because I have an accent, and it's just like, well, that English redcoat prick has actually no bearing on where we all exist, but we all exist in the same fucking place, right?
If you don't want to hear somebody else's opinion, if you don't want to hear a foreigner, as you just said, you're just straight closed mind off the rip. I want to hear every opinion. I'll make my own.
If you survived in Callaway for 20 years, you don't hardly qualify as a fucking foreigner at this point.
No.
Thank you, Joe. Bless you.
No, the only thing that's left really is the accent, and you can't get rid of that. And actually, we don't want him to, because for whatever reason, it makes this show spin circles. People love it. People are drawn to it. So,
how do you think it makes your wife feel?
Thank you very much. Amos, man, I nearly threw up.
Sorry, Billy. Sorry, Tara.
That was a good. That was a good. But I don't,
It makes me a little more. Just come think of it.
But knock the fucking accent on the head, right? And we can make a better place.
I think that's exactly what we're doing.
Absolutely.
I think we're leading by example. Tonight is a great homage to that. I think that we're about to get our message out to more people, and I think that's going to be good for our area and for everybody else to let them know, look, there's things worth fighting for.
No, I mean, every area should do the same thing you're doing, Billy. I mean, every area should have a avenue for the other people in that area. Yeah, expression. And it can't be bad. No, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of things you said to me I didn't really want to hear. I didn't think it was right, but I wanted to hear it. I mean, I'm terrible that way.
Oh, there goes Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I encourage that. Every community, every town, every county, somebody get together with a buddy and talk about the people in their area, promote them, promote tourism in your area, promote all the people that are doing great things.
But here comes the thing. Don't persecute me because of my accent.
What?
Well, but you got to be careful, because
don't persecute me because of it.
Absolutely.
Because I can't talk like that.
Yeah, but I may be dismissed because it's just like, oh, there's that guy that speaks very, very good English.
I don't think that's how it goes around here. I think everybody is drawn to the
He sent his wife to town for $240 spray for the field.
Oh, that was funny as shit.
Because I told him to get rid of broadleaf, you need 2,4-D. So he sent Heather to town. She done rode all over town looking for 240 weed killer. 2,4-D.
It was in the enunciation. But that's what I'm saying is...
And yeah, he makes fun of me. I make fun of him. But
just because
we like it.
I live here and I have an English accent, don't think that my opinion is invalid. That's all. But I can be persecuted because, you're just that fucking foreigner.
Now, I see it as more than valid because coming from Europe, you've seen the path that America's taken. You've already watched it happen. And
I know exactly where it's going.
With everybody, so many other people that I could name that live around here from Europe. And every single one of them tell you the same thing. We've watched it happen.
I'm coming here by choice.
Yeah.
Because the freedom that America allows me, right, you should all be reveling in.
But we take it for granted.
But you're cutting it down.
We take it for granted.
And don't cut that shit down.
It'll always be here. That's what, that's...
Well, in the truest sense of the word, yes, it is.
No.
But that's our mentality.
But that's all about the Constitution. And no...
No, it's all about the people. The Constitution gives us guidelines, but society dictates.
Yeah, but now we're in a situation where 50% of the citizenry that votes... I've got to be very careful about how I state that.
That vote.
50% of the citizenry that vote.
Like willingly vote or get signed up and their vote gets taken to a drop box vote. Which one?
Well, I'm not even going to go down that road. If we don't vote as a citizenry, with the Constitution that we have been given as a God-given right. If you don't partake in that,
Don't bitch about it.
well,
That's what I tell my family.
I think we're screwed. And there's oh, here we go. Here it comes. If you don't vote, and I'm talking about the...
Very conservative religions.
Well, let's get
Because
down
none
to
of
it.
them do.
The German Baptist community does
Amish,
not vote here.
Mennonite, none of them do.
None of them vote. And that's
a massive amount of
It's
people.
massive. And you know what? That population and statistic would make a massive influence on the outcome of our
Local elections.
of our national elections.
Yeah, and so yeah, and when you think about it like that community, that block of voting, that's no different than the African American vote. Back, early 1900s, none of them would fight. They get drafted. They went to prison. They sat there.
Wait, the African American?
German Baptist.
German Baptist, oh, yes.
They were conscious. They were objectors. They ain't gonna fight. They don't vote. They don't fight. No politics.
Well, there's a problem.
That is a problem. That's a problem.
Vote.
But what I'm saying is when you have a government that, they'll throw you in, they forcibly rounded up the homeschooled kids in Ohio, some of the states, forced them, sheriff's department, to go to public schools. So what I'm saying is that block is as trusting of the government as the African American block. Because they see what happens. They know what can happen. I've had this conversation with my family. And I honestly think that that's one reason. You say you're a foreigner in Callaway, why? I look at myself. I look at Joe. So are we.
You have made the choice to step away from the church
But that's what we knew.
and vote.
But I'm saying what we knew was the church. What you knew was England. I'm saying, we made the conscious decision, hey, this is what it takes to have a community. Let's help each other, and that's the way it works.
Yeah, but we've got a significant number of the population in this area that isn't voting, that has a very valid impetus in their opinion, and they don't vote. Now, how can we change that? Because to me, opening up the German Baptist community here should be something that I would love to encourage, because I value their opinion, their lifestyle, and how they would vote. So why do they choose not to? Because they can make a significant difference on our lifestyle.
And when push come to shove,
I'm not
they would stand with community. I know German Baptist houses that during the Civil War hid slaves, smuggled slaves out of Virginia. I know that happened.
They're upright people. Don't get me wrong. I'm not swinging around and saying because you're an objector to violence and that you won't serve should you be called up. I have no issue with that. That is your absolute right. But your right to make that judgment,
your voice could change.
Is based on your right to vote, and I'm kind of pleading at this point where we are at such a crossroads religiously and socially. If you're not going to get involved in society to change society, you're actually part of the problem. So I would urge every German Baptist community and whatever religious community, whether it may be the
Amish,
Mennonite, what
the plain religious.
I would urge you that your voice has to be heard.
Oh, it was 80.5 million of them voted Democrat.
Uh-oh. When did they vote?
Because the other 500,000 are pretty well known.
And, and therein lies the problem. I mean, that absolutely crushes me mentally that there is a non...
back up.
If you're a conscientious objector and you're not willing to serve in the military, you
Got
think
no
you
problem
should
with that.
still vote.
Yep.
Why is that?
Because that is your constitutional right.
And it's also your right not to. You can be
If you have, well done, Caleb. If you have religious objections about taking a man's life,
That's
and
right.
I understand that, religiously, absolutely, I
They made him. I
understand
mean,
that.
and it's not just German Baptist Church of the Brethren, like Garland.
Yep.
He was a CO, whatever, Vietnam, World War II. But I don't think they understand. I honestly don't think
that doesn't negate your right as a citizen of this country to be able to vote.
It would be hard for them to know how to vote because it's not transparent what you're even voting for. Yeah, I mean, your choices are.
And they vote on everything.
To vote for a Republican or vote for a Democrat.
I get that angle, and that is coming down to a referendum, and how you govern the church locally. I get that.
But they wouldn't view parties; they would view individuals.
Well, I'm just saying, like, even for me, like, it's not transparent to me, and I'm not the most well-educated or informed.
Oh, I think you are.
But if you realistically, you have two options to vote for. It's
And
either Democrat or
there's one
Republican,
that's
and
the
it's
problem.
not clear to me even what you're voting for.
I get that.
Because it's bullshit. I mean,
I get that.
Campaigning is
Well, the
bullshit.
whole conversation about the left and the right, the blue and the red,
Yeah.
the Republican and the Conservative.
And that's the problem.
I get that issue, okay, but when it comes down to voting locally is where we make the difference, and
that's locally where they could make the big
is
difference.
where we need.
Well, so locally, let me dive in that for just 1 second. Locally, we have an option to vote for Will Davis. I will not take your guns away. Good fucking deal. That's a constitutional right.
Quite right.
Likely you won't. Or you can vote for Jamison or whoever the hell he is. Experience matters. What the fuck are we voting for exactly?
Now, that's where and that's the crux of the situation that we're now in Appalachia, is that we don't have people that are standing on principles to support local industry and community. Now, if I was to stand up and say, you know what, I don't stand for Republican, I don't stand for the damn Democrats, I can tell you that for nothing. But if I stand for what I believe in, guess
then
what?
who do you vote for? Because
well, now you're talking about an independent. You might be talking about a libertarian. Don't put a number on it. Don't put a name on it. I'm going to stand on my basic human principle.
well, that's
I'm going to vote for Simon. I'm going to vote for Joe, not the Republican Party, the Democratic Party.
Exactly. And that's how we do this locally.
well, and that's the problem, is because it's hard for me to vote according to what I believe because nobody's campaigning for what I believe.
Now, therein lies the problem. Because when it comes to local elections, this is where you don't have to hang your hat.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
On a party.
You don't have to go, I am a Republican, I am a Democrat. There's no such thing, by the way, as a Democrat anymore. They're progressives, and I will keep hammering that message out. If you vote for Democrats, you're voting for progressives.
But you think about all the old-time farmers,
That's
the
okay.
Democrats, the farmers' free. I mean, there's a lot of 80-year-old farmers that vote Democrat
get
because
that.
of John F. Kennedy.
And I get
For
that.
real.
And John F. Kennedy was the last true Democrat.
Hell, he's a Republican.
Yeah,
He might even get on that ticket at this point.
I get it.
For real.
I get it. But what I'm saying is, if you vote locally for the man that supports local business, local industry, local commerce, and the people that are in his constituency, you're going to get a winner. And I'm saying, when you don't vote, you're letting that person in that you despise.
So I've heard several people comment that I don't really agree with either one of those candidates. So what happens when no candidate shows up who will actually support the common people in this
Represent the
community?
people.
And represent the people, represent the Constitution. Those are the people that you want.
Isn't that how you got second place?
That's
Well,
how,
well,
that's
I
how a
think-
revolution started.
Well, I think the most important thing is getting some accessibility out here. I mean, when we have a board, and I understand what Joel's talking about, so what are we voting for? Because around here, if you have board of supervisors or town council, they'll get a little 2 or 3 sentences in the Franklin News Post. Hi, I'm this and this, I'm a this, I'm a that, I do this, and this is what I believe. It's like these people don't ever get around and debate each other and talk about what they're going to do or how they're going to do it. You just get a little blurb in the Franklin News Post, and that's all. And then you go to the polls, and you're like, well, I guess I'm going to vote for him because I know him a little bit better than the other guy.
Because I'm an old dog Democrat.
We're not putting these people through the ringer to find out whether they're worthy of our vote. We're not. It's just, hey, I'm going to do it.
But you say that, but I'm going to tell you right now, I remember several years back in an election in this town, I was trying to talk you into voting for somebody else, and you was like, well, this other person's been a friend of my family my whole life, and tell me you didn't.
Oh, I know who I voted for in that election.
And you remember the story I'm talking about?
I'm talking about telling you I voted for the same person you did.
Are we naming names here, or are we anonymous?
No, we're anonymous on this one.
Against the family friend.
Both are family friends. That was the crux.
But it's, that now becomes a case of principle. Okay? I don't give a shit if you are going to fly under the Republican banner or the Democratic banner.
That don't mean a shit to me anyway.
Discard that. I want the person that's going to look after me, representing me, with with my vote, if you know what I mean. One down.
You all right?
Well, and you know what tends to happen though is a local election, the local people get somebody.
He said, "Ouch, it hurts."
But then it comes down to
But
attorneys.
if they go to D.C.,
It's
it's different.
attorneys. How many representatives do we have that are currently
one on the floor?
One on the floor. We're talking about why are you looking for an attorney to represent you?
Yeah, we need more farmers. We need more construction workers. We need
We need
more
the-
truck
the-
drivers. We need common people who have different viewpoints and have different, if everybody's a lawyer, all you're going to do is use your skills. And that's all being a lawyer is basically being able to read a second language, to be able to confuse the shit out of you. So you can say, here's, I need $800 an hour to be able to go talk this jargon to my buddy right here, who is a judge I'm going to play golf with this weekend. You know what I mean? It's just...
And there's a problem.
Or
Everyone that looks to represent us, and I hate to say it,
Nobody's
is a
running who
fucking
represents us,
attorney.
is the-
They're fucking attorneys. And
politics all the way up.
they're all,
It never was. It was all business people.
Well, yeah.
and then they became
Well, attorneys figured out how to make it a full-time job.
They became legislators. So now you've got to have, people that represent all of us are now these legislators that require some form of legal degree. When that's the last thing we want. The last thing I want to put on the books are more laws. What I actually want to have happen is the laws to be taken off the books so that we don't over-regulate. Fucking hell.
I think we should all start throwing our hat into the ring for sunset clauses. I think every single law that they sign should have a sunset clause of 10 years or so, because every 10 years, times have changed, technology changed. You want to be able to keep up. You really should, have to revisit every issue every 10 years. That gives them something to do, make sure they're actually doing their job, but, you still have to hold them accountable.
Take the laws off the books. If you're coming into office,
Yeah, just wipe the whole damn thing.
And the warning labels. All
You
that
know?
stuff.
I tell you what, you vote me in for mayor or anything
this young man, by the way, needs to take Caleb's place
for
on
me
the-
or
on the microphone.
or anything for that. All right, so I mean, yeah, I think if everybody just kind of gets out there and look, just start talking to your neighbor, start going out to community events, meet people, find like-minded people, and start building around that. And then y'all all get together and have a conversation like this where y'all start figuring out, well, who's somebody good we can put in this place? Who's somebody good we can put in that place? That's the best way you're going to be able to do it. Like, stop getting on your phones every damn day and trying to figure out what the hell's going on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and what's going on halfway across the world. Focus yourself on your community. Have nights like these. Have connections like we have. Enjoy life.
Just engage.
Yeah.
And when I say engage, that doesn't mean engage politically. Engage socially.
What the fuck is wrong with this generation?
Lauren's wife, talked to her for a minute tonight, and she was like, her dad's a German Baptist guy, and she was like, she was trying to figure out who my wife was.
Right.
And she was like, look around, Amos. Did you ever think when we were in German Baptist church, because, we all were, did you ever think that we would meet this many people outside the church?
What a bloody lot of heathens. Oh, shit. Did I say that out loud?
I believe you did.
But I'm saying, you think back, Joe, when you was a kid, did you ever think you would know this many people outside the church?
Well, it's pretty rewarding for me because there are some older folks in particular that I would have seen the feed salesman or some guy from the tractor place that
and that was
now I've gained a whole new appreciation for because they've re-entered my life. Now I'm middle-aged, you might say, and I never knew the real them.
You knew the feed salesman or
just saw the guy
select size guy.
I saw the guy that lives in the house down here and has a farm in Callaway.
But somehow you're hanging out with that same guy at an English man's house.
But it gives me a much deeper appreciation for who this community really is.
And how many years they have rallied around each other.
The days were, and I'm hesitant to name names on the show, but when one old man's wife dies, and then the guy who was my next door neighbor growing up, and I thought, these two old guys should know each other. Oh yeah, he comes up here every week. He's here every Tuesday like clockwork. He has been since my wife died. And I'm like, never had a clue they knew each other, but they did, and they care about each other, and they support each other. And at the end of the day, then that's important to me. And I didn't realize how much of that existed.
The community, how tight it was.
The community, until you start talking to people, and you ask those questions, and you have those conversations, and you have some hardship. The bottom line is you have some struggle, you have something that you're dealing with, and all of a sudden, folks come out of the woodwork to support you that you didn't even realize cared about you.
I would. This is a tough one. Being the foreigner, I would, and I've got a grasp of the German Baptist population in a very, very slight degree. I would love for the German Baptist population to be not so isolationist in the whole community. And I absolutely dig what they do in their community. But we have to find the middle ground where we are one.
I think they struggle with the same thing everybody else does, that it is so hard to not isolate yourself from people that you're not familiar with. So
yeah, but is that on religious grounds, though?
Well, if you're a member of that church and that's who you know the other church members.
But that makes them...
You can fail to appreciate the other people around you who may not go to the same church as you do.
Yeah, because I embrace the German Baptist population more than anyone could give credence for.
The spectrum of the German Baptist Church is as wide as the spectrum in the political parties in America. I mean, from the
but they are not a voice to be heard politically because they don't
half
vote.
Of them would vote Democrat and the other half would vote Republican.
That's okay.
That's
you know what? That is 100% okay.
And I tell my family, if you don't vote, I don't want to hear about it.
Yeah, don't bitch about it. And I'm okay with that divide.
Sure.
But I would cherish the German Baptist community here to engage politically, locally, and that I guarantee you now would
Think about
really
if we put one of
make
their
a
pictures on
difference.
on a flyer and they were running for office.
Well, you know, you're gonna have issues that you've got to overcome.
I remember some getting churched for being in the newspaper.
I got churched a few times, but it wasn't for being in the newspaper.
You were looking at
But do you
glossy
do you
newspapers.
both not see the German Baptist community not being politically engaged locally? I don't give
Well,
a shit.
They are.
Yeah, but are
Kind
they?
of, in that they don't believe in placing their vote. But once the vote has been cast and the government is then established, they believe fully in supporting that government.
Or yes,
The respecting the authority of that government, they do believe in
Yeah,
that.
but if you're not participating in the election of that, it's very easy to swing around and say, oh, I will follow whatever somebody else votes for. And I've got a problem with that.
Well,
No,
their
not
their
necessarily-
belief is that.
but they're also willing to go to prison.
No, I understand.
You know, so I mean, I agree.
It's very contentious.
One of the first things I left the church, one of my first things was, all right, you know, I want to vote. And I mean, I want to have a say in local. And so I got to decide what I am, how I'm going to vote. I didn't know anything about a party, Republican, Democrat. I didn't know nothing about none of it. So, all right, well, here's what I think, and this is the way I vote. I didn't care what was behind their name.
Yeah. Well, I mean, first off, by the way, if anybody's wondering how we kind of started this show as a Caleb show and why you're not hearing him anymore, Caleb took a
He took a nosedive.
nosedive straight into the hardwood porch right here. The poor guy didn't. So we
Looked
got-
like he was headed down to look at the Titanic.
So we got about 30 minutes with Caleb this year. As of last year, we got about 5 minutes. But let's say it's not his fault. We had a schedule, we had a timeline that Miguel right here didn't follow. Miguel Denton. So you know, Caleb held off as long as he could. Then he started, you know, and it was tough for him to stop. So that's where we find ourselves. So Caleb's no longer involved, but. You know, I mean, I get where Simon's coming to play devil's advocate. If you don't vote for anything, maybe that gives you a right to bitch because you can say either way, well, I didn't vote for this crap.
And then you fought that.
But
this
minus
is,
the government, it'd still be self-sufficient.
yeah, but here,
Well, yes.
here comes the
That's
devil.
why we don't need the government.
The devil you do, devil you don't principle here. Because if you've got a two-party system and and a third party may come in the show, and I'm not going to say which one it may be, but that whichever one that third party is, as an independent, a libertarian, whatever it may be, the counter to all of that is, well, if you vote for them, you're going to let the Democrats in. Well, if you vote for them, you're going to let the Republicans in.
Short of a money racket, there wouldn't be a party.
That's a scam. And they both play that same chord every time.
You might know the answer to this.
Uh-oh.
It occurs to me that, like, I know a gentleman in Rocky Mount that owns a hotel and a gas station. He's from Pakistan. He's an immigrant.
Yep.
He's now
Same
a
as
citizen.
me.
He's a very patriotic person. I've never asked him if he votes. It's not from lack of patriotism at all. He's probably more patriotic for America than most natural-born citizens, but
That's why he's here.
How many of those people are there?
More than we think.
I mean, there's a bunch, and a lot of them, the barrier is that he can speak English, but not extremely well. I think he receives it and understands it better than he can speak it, and I think he has some reluctance to making his voice heard. Not that it's not important, but rather he has that reluctance that I think is the same as you shared, that
Yep.
you don't want to be discredited.
Because
but
I'm a foreigner.
You shouldn't be discredited. That you've got roots here like everybody else. And so I do think sometimes that there's unheard voices for various reasons, but a lot of people hold that voice back because they don't think they are fully qualified. Same as the young guy that was just sitting here. He said, I don't feel like I really have enough education and experience. Sure you do. You have a voice. You know right from wrong.
And if you don't test yourself at a young age, you're never going to figure it out. You have to have cadets. You have to have.
But that's ingrained
confidence.
that you got to keep doing this and doing this and doing this.
All right, that's show off, son of a bitch. How dare him do things we can't do?
But you know, I'm saying that's something that's ingrained into you. Like, me on the other hand, if I seen you do something, I could do it.
Yeah. Well, what?
Besides, oh shit, not that.
No, that's what I'm saying. What are these assholes doing? What are y'all
Half my age.
What are y'all trying to show us up in front of my wife? I mean, come on. Speaking of which, my wife just showed up. By the way, I don't think.
God bless you, Terry.
She
1:15 in the morning, she came back to retrieve you.
She drove home, put the kids in bed, came back up here. She said, "Are you about done?" I said, "Yeah, we're minutes from being done." Because I'm about ready to be done, and that was about 35 minutes ago.
And there's plenty of stories in between.
You did miss
Caleb.
Well, Caleb did take a nosedive. We only got about 30 minutes with him again, so a little bit better than last time.
I think it's 35 minutes.
Yeah.
It is better.
And
Bonus.
well, when we almost
I'm
got,
already scared of Terry. She got down to the 35.
The last thing Caleb said was, ouch.
That hurt.
That hurt.
He's in the cabin now, and
we had a few bumps in the road.
Yeah.
It sounds like literal bumps.
well,
It was.
you also missed that
Oh,
we came very close to getting in a fight with a 20-year-old too, so that almost happened.
A fight with the
It got to the point to where I had stood up, and Amos was already stood up, and if Simon would have stood up, it probably would have got ugly for the poor chap. You know, it was a miscommunication. We thought something was funny, and he didn't, and he couldn't quite understand that he's at a 40-year-old party, not a 20-year-old party.
But it wasn't even him.
No, and it wasn't even him, and not to mention his friends. Anybody want to care to tell?
it was just
Amos
like
started
difference in
something.
taste.
All right, so,
Rick.
Amos started
all right, so
something.
It was difference in taste. Amos is an artist, and we all agreed at this table that Amos is a good artist.
Yeah.
They did not agree with Amos's artwork and the placement thereof.
What was your artwork?
Well, I've always been told that if you're drinking and you pass out with your shoes on, you didn't aim to pass out.
Yeah.
It's an accident. So there's repercussions.
Namely, a black magic marker.
So I accidentally had a black Sharpie in my pocket. So I said, hey, has he got his shoes on? Yeah. So a few people got up, went over there. One person tied his shoes together. Another person made a few drawings on him. And then his buddies came over.
Well, I noticed the size of that, and it wasn't all that big, but did you trace that or draw it freehand?
That's what I remember yours looking like.
Jesus, Mary and
So
Joseph.
I can guess
So-
what was drawn on him.
Well, a
I
few
can
of them.
fill in the blank.
So, so then I go over to the beer pong table, and a bunch of his buddies come over signing, and it's fun. It's a laugh, and one of his buddies took offense to it.
No, now let's be honest. Let's be straightforward. His buddy didn't come over here and say a damn thing when it was going on. He was like, well, I was playing beer pong. Well, dude, if you cared about your buddy enough, you stop the game and you go over there and say something. Don't come over here after the fact trying to get tough around a bunch of 40-year-old, hard-nosed, grinding, liquored up
Let's
men.
be honest.
Psychopath.
Men.
All right, come on, man. We all got dad bods. We're broke.
I was relaxing with my feet up on the chair.
Well, it's not about the violence.
It was just, well, I mean, it was just,
Right.
obviously, I mean, it started
the
as a
shit
joke.
will wash off.
And then I talked to his, went and talked to his buddies. They got in on it. It was funny.
Yeah.
And, I've got drawn on. I've drawn on Billy. I mean,
Sure been.
oh, a lot.
A lot.
I've been shaved.
Oh my God.
I went-
Shave.
Yeah.
We should shave.
I have been shaved.
No,
You
I
get
want to
like
put
half
wax
of it.
patches on him while he's passed out. And then
Like
make
you
him
get
tear them
half
off
the
after he
whole
wakes
lot.
up.
What in the hell did I do
All
to
the
y'all?
hair on this half, arms, underarms.
Look,
I've done whole body shaving.
Get 50%.
I've done that.
Kind of like your dad's beard before he had that
I
surgery.
have done the
They went to
50%
the
body
back to
shave,
church.
and that was a rugby tour, and there is no mercy.
But anyway, so
but,
me and the
you know.
boy had a disagreement on what is fun, something that's funny. And I was like, dude, I mean, it's a joke in the moment. Hey, you don't pass out with your shoes on.
That's right.
Well, that's the bottom line. It's
that's
like,
a pass for girls. Y'all can't argue wrong.
and with this little.
Well,
I
don't pick a fight with the guy that.
No, he just
don't
misguided.
pick a fight with a 6'5",
For real.
a combat vet, and a rugby hooligan. What do you think is the outcome?
Well, I mean, he was like a 19-year-old kid who thought he had it all figured. He thought he was going to be intellectually better than us because we were a bunch of 40-year-olds that found humor in something like that, and he thought he was going to be able to talk down to us, not understanding that I'm the only one at the table with a degree, and I'm the dumbest motherfucker sitting here. He would have gotten knocked down intellectually. He'd have gotten knocked down physically. Like, I don't understand what his...
Where was the concept?
He said, how old are you? I was like, twice your age. He's like, all right, so you're 50. And I was like, what the fuck, man? I was like, so you're 25? He was like, yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, you've got no personal... I mean, like, whatever. We didn't go to your little, kegger where your parents were out of town and right on your dude. You came up to a man's party, and a bunch of men messed around with your buddy, and,
No.
I had a very similar vehicular confrontation.
Vehicular confrontation, do tell.
Well, there was some young lady.
Oh, boy.
Who was tailgating me like a mother coming down 6 Mile Post. I brake checked her, and I'm driving my lifted truck. I'm a big dude. Why do you think it's a good idea to start flicking me the bird, driving up my tailpipe, flashing me the lights,
her name was
jamming on the horn, doing everything?
Oh my.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was just like.
Have you ever drove a tractor down the road?
I have to ask this, Simon, because I know you're from England. Is there any chance you were driving on the wrong side of the road?
And that's actually a very valid point. That's a very valid point. I was driving the speed limit.
She was trying to warn you.
I mean, it was unreal. And for this young lady, and I'm being very conservative with calling her a young lady.
In the young part or the lady part? Just
both.
Okay.
That she thought that she could have a confrontation with a 6-foot rugby player driving a lifted truck, and thought that her behaviour, that was very confrontational, would end up with an outcome that would not suit her belligerence. Right? So if I'd have stopped the truck and got out of the car and said, okay, I'm a little bit pissed off with how you're driving up my tailpipe. If you want to have a conversation about that, we'll have one. But she was so aggressive in the manner that she was driving up my tailpipe, flashing me the lights, flicking me the bird, hollering at the top of her lungs.
Like a mad
like a complete lunatic.
So I'm wanting to follow this a little bit. So you're driving up the road, and then just out of nowhere, like...
She came up my tailpipe,
and the assumption that you're going too slow to suit her.
And unfortunately, I was doing the speed limit, which, by the way, as an Englishman, is very unusual. I don't normally do the speed limit round here. So I thought I was okay, but no, she was up my damn tailpipe.
You get around these mountain roads in that Mini Cooper pretty good, don't you?
It weren't no damn Mini Cooper, let me tell you that. But it just blows my mind that someone, and this is where I'm getting to the conversation that we might have with the youth of today, is that they think that they can overpower and have almost a physical confrontation.
Most people's appetite for confrontation is much greater than their appetite for conclusion.
Now that is a beautiful
We need to put that
statement.
on the T-shirt.
That is
we need to
a
put that on the
T-shirt.
T-shirt.
Because that's exactly what I felt. I'm just like, if you are so aggressive to me as a female driver, and I'm going to stop and have that confrontation, I'm going to beat the brakes off you.
Or anything?
Well,
I mean, hypothetically speaking,
you
just, I mean, there is, and I know we're kind of sounding like the older, get off my lawn generation and stuff here, but number one, I don't look at us the way I think I looked at older people 20 years ago. I think we're a little more in tune. I think
we're not near as old as they were.
No, the internet keeps us more in tune. But on the other hand, like, I know every generation looked at the younger one and says, this and this. The most they had to say about our generation for a few people were, "Oh, you're lazy as shit." But this generation, it's like, well, you're a head case, you're emotional, you're dramatic, you take everything to extremes.
We're the last.
You're on top of that, you're freaking lazy. On top of that, you want what you haven't worked for. At least back then, people would get it and be like, why don't you have this? Well, I didn't work. Like, okay, nowadays it's like, well, I want this, but I don't want to work. It's like, what the hell has happened for this sense of entitlement?
Well, that was where I was going. That was exactly where I was going.
But we kind of got to look back to our own generation for some of that shit.
Well, perhaps, but I'm just having my kid now. You just have a young kid. Amos has a young kid. I mean, we have guys that are around our age that already have grandkids.
Well, there's a lot of, the majority of 20-year-olds right now, their parents are our age. And largely, I think their parents are who we have to thank for that shit.
Living with their parents?
Well, yeah, the people our age with 20-year-olds and stuff like this. I mean,
that's a very valid
But they
comment.
went through high school and college. They're 20 years old.
And
I went live with my parents at 20 years old.
Look, and they coddle these kids so much. You're like, well, they're only 18 or 19 or 22. They haven't got it figured out yet, or 23. Look, no more than 2 or 3 generations ago, if you were me and Tara were talking about this the other day, if you're 17 or 18 and you ain't got a homestead and a couple of kids by that point in time, you're falling way behind. You know what I mean? Like, people had to get out there, start a family, and work at 18, 19.
Damn, you really are German Baptists.
I mean, yeah, we had 18 and 19-year-olds storming the beaches of Normandy. We had 18 and 19-year-olds going into Baghdad. I was one of them. We coddle them way too much instead of giving them expectations, And I mean, how do we curb that? What do we have to do? Because I want my kids to grow up and be strong. I want them to grow up and have, convictions. I want them to take a little bit of me and a lot of Tara, hopefully her brains.
Please.
And looks.
Yeah, please.
They've got her looks too. So I mean, everything's looking. But I want to leave my kids something nice. And I mean, how do we do it when everything is just a fuck right now? I mean, people are so demoralized.
It's very disturbing.
How do you reach these young kids? Like we tried to get this kid on here tonight to come on. We didn't want him to put his name to the test. He didn't, he didn't want to put himself to the test for whatever reason. But I'm like, why not just come on here and find out what you can find out and learn a thing or two? Like, we weren't trying.
Express an opinion.
We weren't trying to break you down because you don't have a lot of life experience and we do. We were trying to figure out what life experience you have and how it's important to reaching, the kids, and just no confidence at all want to come on here. It's just, it's going to be really tough for people like that to make it in this world when aren't willing to put their neck out there just for something so simple.
To express an opinion.
Yes, express an opinion, or just have a job and provide for yourself. It's not even. It used to be to provide for yourself was life or death. Now it's as simple as just show up to work. Just do something. But I don't know. We like Amos said, we all find ourselves in a different predicament because we're quite a bit older as people with younger children. So we see the world a little bit differently. People our age right now are starting to get away from their kids and go on vacations, and their kids are going to college. So, we have a responsibility.
Well, I think the biggest thing is parents don't teach their kids to use their brain. They want to help them do everything. Yeah, of course I want to do everything for my little girl. But, I mean, she's a free grazer. I'm hard on her. Hey, you make, there's decisions, there's consequences.
Yeah.
And, you got to understand that. And I think that's the biggest thing is, man, let your kid make mistakes.
What about a woman's perspective on it?
Well, I mean, I think that they do have to learn and have, it's almost like our job is to not protect them too much. And
it's not protection, it's support.
Right. And just support and help them navigate without doing everything for them.
And that starts super early. Like, I look at Claire. I look at her and earmuffs, Billy, because this will make your head swell. But I like the job y'all are doing with her. I like because, some kids, she's confident.
She is.
She's
very confident.
Respectful,
Yes.
super respectful, but confident. And that, that's what, as a parent, I feel like you should do.
Does she have to fix her own mistakes?
But you have to let them make mistakes, to build confidence. Yeah, you're going to pick them up, of course you are.
Right.
But let them understand that, Callie just got her a kayak. Lord, Jeannie, y'all got to get Claire one.
Oh, I'm
But
sure it's
She
coming.
would love that.
everything is a race with Callie. I don't know where she got that from.
Well, Claire's got it too, so
But, you know,
race you to the mailbox, race you to
put
the
her on the
patio.
river in that kayak. I mean, she's been with me in my lap on my kayak, several. She's got to go to the front.
Yeah.
I mean, there's 30 people in our group, and I'm like, Callie, I'm telling you,
That's a sign of a leader. I mean, that's leadership qualities right
It
there.
is.
and you gotta let them keep that, but try to channel it and help them understand.
Well, let them fall.
Let,
them fail.
let them fail.
Oh, it was all
Yeah.
fun and games till she run that thing up under the top of a tree,
Let them figure it out.
and
you
she was
know?
white knuckling it.
That's one thing Claire hates. Sometimes I make her lose, or
Oh, I
won't
do. I
let her
try.
win, and she gets upset. But I'm like, Claire, you've got to learn how to be,
That's right.
grateful for your losses
And,
learn
you
from
know,
your
Billy-
mistakes.
Says it's a disservice. Callie's an only child. Of course she's spoiled. Jesus Christ. Y'all got two, so. But, I mean, that is really a disservice to a kid, I think.
Well, she's
I mean, I'm the middle of 8, dude. Everything was a competition.
Well, I mean, Callie's Callie's essentially the only grandchild on one side, and she's one of 277 on the other side. So,
My brother has 3/4 of them.
Typically, she's not an only child.
But I think that's what I
Not a
think.
huge
But
family.
back to what we were talking about, the downfall is parents
It's like raising.
not letting them fail, not letting them, coddling them.
yeah.
I refuse.
Yeah.
And
Well, on top of that, too, it's also letting your children go get indoctrinated every day at public schools, not paying attention to what they're doing, not having time with them at the end of the day. And that's not all parents' fault. Parents are so mixed up trying to just put food on the table these days that a lot of times they don't have time to go over all their kids' schoolwork. And by the time they get home, they make dinner, they get a bath, they get them into bed to be ready for the next day. Like, start finding ways to find out, debrief your child every single day. If you can't get them into a private or homeschool,
but taxes and regulation has created that.
Yeah.
In the 70s, in
By
the
design.
80s, that, me or you could have worked. Our wives wouldn't have had to worry about nothing. We could have went and bought a new car every 2 or 3 years. I mean, like I look at
new house, nice
that
neighborhood.
can't happen now.
Yeah, we were talking about that the other day.
You look back, like it was. I've seen, data and stuff like up to like the mid '80s. You could go buy a brand new car for 50% of the average American wage. Can you buy a new car today for 50% of the average American wage? My granddad told me in like 1974 he took like 6
that's a
cows to the
frickin'
stockyard, took that check, and went and bought a new pickup.
Right.
Well, I can tell you, you can't take 6 cows to the stockyard. You can still go buy a 1973 pickup, maybe.
Probably not, because it's antique now, and
But that's the difference.
I even think in 1992, my grandparents sold it may have been 94. They sold their house in Aminata for $20,000, which I know it's inflation and all of that, but still,
And I thought
for less than a
my granddad didn't die in '92. Grandma sold the house in Indianapolis, and I remember playing auctioneer 36.5 going for 37. She sold that house for $36,000 in 1992. That same house, like I looked it up just a week or so ago, that same house is like $318,000.
no
believe
kidding.
it.
Oh, well, my grandpa, Riddle, had property on the lake, Smith Mountain, had a cabin that still overhung the water, which is now against regulations. You can't do that anymore. And I think he sold it in the mid-'80s for $40,000. Today it's probably worth, at least in its peak a few years ago, every bit of probably $750,000.
Damn.
But that's the problem. I mean, to raise a family, you can't do it.
So you got to start finding ways to be able to.
Well, no, that depends on who you put in office. Because, I mean, dude, 99% of that regulate the tax. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, Joe can tell you. To own a business, it is unbelievable what you pay the government to have an employee.
Well, and see, the problem with Joel's business is you get big major carriers like Swift, JB Hunt, that all go in here and they have their own lobbyists that go to D.C. and they make the regulations so hard that only their trucks can survive, and they end up squeezing people like Joe out of business slower and slower and slower until it's all just 5 or 6 companies handling all the freight in this country. And that's what they do.
Or the International Building Code, every fastener in the house has to be Simpson or better. It's up to the contractor to prove whether it's better than Simpson. Now,
Simpson being a brand name.
yes. Now, how in the hell, you damn right.
Yeah.
And you look at the price difference. But it's up to the contractor to prove that the fastener he uses is better than Simpson.
Really?
Now, what kind of lobbyist you got to have for that noise? And that's the international code.
Nationwide building code.
International.
Which, yeah, I mean, that's a monopoly.
Of course, I can afford to pay somebody $50 million to get that road in.
Right.
And like when Virginia, whatever, issues new codes, we have to go to classes. They have a Simpson rep at that class.
If they do.
Well, I mean, hell.
Amazing that even the building industry is affected by the equivalent of a
Lobbyists,
pharmaceutical
regulations,
In every industry, there's not an
any
industry.
industry that's untouched, I don't
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, and I mean, trucking, the federal transportation, railroading. I mean, it is really unbelievable the amount of, in my opinion, stolen money.
But the amount of tentacles that the government, from federal all the way down to local, have in our freaking I mean, it's like one of those Marvel movies, where the Spider-Man gets covered by that black goo or whatever like it is. I mean, it's what it is. Every freaking tentacle they have is shoved up our ass.
If you overpay the government, taxes, whatever, you overpay on a quarterly or something. Hell, it'd take you 3-4 months to get a check back. If I give an employee a raise, state of Virginia is contacting me a week later for their part.
Yeah. Absolutely. But I tell you what, I think that's a good place to stop this show. We ended up getting a little bit longer than I thought we would get. We had a really good conversation. I think at the end of the day is, as we sit here in 2023 on Independence Day weekend or whatever you want to call it.
Independence Day, not 4th of July.
We're really staring down the barrel at another revolution, one way, shape, or form. Now, whether that's a cultural, whether that's a physical, whether that's a philosophical, like, change is coming, and you probably need to want to find yourself on the side of good. So be good to your neighbors, find people, talk to people, have nights like this and moments like this to share with friends and family and wives that I don't deserve like this.
I mean, there's been a lot of change. I've seen a lot of change. I mean, you see change happen, but it's all got to be positive. I mean, you got to help people understand. The difference between success and failure. Don't force somebody into your corner. Convince them that it's a better option.
Yes.
You can force anybody to do something, but if you convince them that it's a better option. I mean, me and you had these fights till 2-3 in the morning, and your wife don't believe it.
I think she thinks.
Convince me.
I think she thinks Caleb brings
That's what
strippers down
Facebook
there.
is for, to convince you.
I do.
It works. It's fucking effective.
That never occurred to me.
Well, you should probably take heed in that.
I'm the biggest devil's
What kind
advocate
of
in the world.
strippers are?
Well,
Caleb
would Caleb find just picture that in your head and probably remove that image? Yeah, remove that image as fastly as you possibly can.
Are we talking about the quality of strippers that Caleb procures?
No, we're not even going down that road. We're not going down that rabbit hole. We're shutting this one down. I think everybody here is exhausted. They're inebriated. But look, all I got to say is people just, for one, go to patreon.com/getontap and subscribe for only $3 a month. You can do more if you want to. Appreciate everybody out here that makes things like this happen. Number 2, we got a lot of really good shows coming up here in the near future, so stay tuned. Number 3, thank each and every one of y'all, and Simon, especially you, for hosting this event again. And I'm glad we got to document it here tonight throughout the annals of history.
And if you're looking for a stripper, I recommend Hunter Biden
Simon.
can find you a good one, not Caleb Flora.
I think you may be onto something there.
Thank you, Simon.
That's valid.
Gentlemen, it was a business doing pleasure.
Well, thank you, Tara, for jumping in here and coming up and picking me up and probably saving either myself at the least a DUI tonight or at the most my wife or somebody else.
Don't worry, she's earning some serious brownie points in the afterlife dealing with your ass.
Thank you.
Racking them up daily, pretty daily.
And Amos, Simon, we got a couple hours in tonight, so I appreciate it. I hope everybody will take this night and have mercy on us, but also understand this is what you need, community. Thank y'all. Simon?
God bless you.
He didn't signal while changing lanes. They pulled him over, found her cocaine. She said, I love you. Yes, I love you forevermore. If you tell that policeman that that cocaine load is yours, he spent time locked up while she ran around. Everyone knew it, small country town. While he lay rotten, Lord, she was blowing on his door. And the day they released him, well, he had nowhere to go. Lord, and his ashes to ashes, and you know it's dust to dust. Just another low down woman that a man can't trust. They released him, no one was there. Had she forgotten? Did she still care? He called up her mama, Lord, and these words he heard her cry. Lord, that no good daughter of mine spend all your money on cocaine, overdosed and died. Lord, it's ashes to ashes, and you know it's dust to dust. Just another low down woman that a man can't trust. In the spring, one sunny day, my good gal left me.